Have you ever wanted to watch a movie that deals more with the psychological aspects of the end of the world? A movie that focuses far more on the human basic need for companionship? A movie with zombie breasts? Well, you've come to the right place, as today we're covering The Battery from 2012. The movie begins with Ben and Mickey, two former baseball players, brought together through the rather unfortunate circumstances of a rather unfortunate apocalypse. And by the movie begins, I mean it begins after about 10 minutes, during which we're subjected to multiple shots of them sitting around doing nothing and walking around doing more nothing. On the one hand, it conveys the realities of what a situation like this would very much be like. But on the other hand, my ADHD is now thinking about something completely different, like if you subscribe to the channel or not. And if you've checked out today's sponsor yet, Exeter, the company who are known for creating the world's first trackable wallet, which would be the perfect companion for a zombie apocalypse. You know, for reasons. Many of them. Their sleek, elegant designs, perfect for styling on those poor wasteland scavengers who can't even comprehend what it's like to be on your level, are made even better thanks to its helpful functionality, like its super slim design, quick card access, RFID blocker, solar panel powered tracker, and sustainability to help you from bringing the world to its end. Again. The Parliament wallet is made from environmentally certified premium leather, has thoughtfully placed extra pockets for cards and cash, has the space to hold up to 12 of your cards, can block wireless theft from those sneaky little zombies, comes in 6 different colours, while looking absolutely awesome while doing so. With Exeter, there's something for everyone, whether you're looking to go as sleek as possible or fancy a bit of flair. Exeter has what you need, as well as a myriad of different items, like the wallet tracker and key case and tracker, perfect for helping you find your belongings after you send them flying across the room, desperately trying to not get your insides eaten. So, if you're interested in Exeter, or think that it'd make the perfect gift for the Father's Day sale, the 4th of July sale, and Labor Day sale coming up, click the link in the description and use code BIGWILL to be a big support to the channel. And after many riveting activities, such as fishing and smoking cigarettes, not dead from lung cancer yet, eventually they manage to come across a working car that comes with its very own zombie. After politely dealing with its previous occupant, they finally unlock the ability to fast travel and decide to head up to Mickey's ex-girlfriend's house to do perfectly normal and sane activities, like sniffing her underwear to find out what she had for dinner. After wanting to question her about her pH levels, Mickey suggests that they stay here for a while for a nice refreshing break from the life on the road, an idea which Ben seems vehemently against, due to them both being trapped in a house for 3 months back at the beginning of the apocalypse, with it being so bad for them that one of them was forced to kill and eat the family dog to survive. That, or Ben's just more of a cat person. And after finding some walkie-talkies in the house, they hear 2 other people communicating, Annie and Frank, with those 2 people being the only signs of life they've come across in months. Mickey immediately begins excitedly talking to them, to which Frank immediately responds with, no. He tells Mickey to never try and find them, and that they are very much not welcome. To which Mickey responds by spending the next few days incessantly calling out to Annie over the radio because he needs more samples for his pH collection. Ben, taking the hint from Frank and Annie, repeatedly tries to convey to Mickey that it's really not a good idea to continue to harass them, and that it's in both of their best interests to just leave it and move on with their lives. But Mickey, taking the statement of no as a challenge, continues to search nearby for survivors, in the process accidentally letting 2 zombies out of a motel, causing an argument between him and Ben as they disagree on who should be the one to kill them. Apparently, Mickey has made it all of this time without having to kill one single zombie, which seems to suit him perfectly well, whereas Ben, on the other hand, seems to revel in the violence, and almost seems to thrive in the new world that they found themselves in. And by thrive, I mean have no loved ones and be surrounded by constant danger. Fun times. The arguing, which there's a lot of in the movie, does bring light to the psychological effects that a zombie apocalypse may have on different people. The pair are clearly able to get along and cooperate, but it doesn't take long to notice the cracks, and the near constant amount of time spent together has resulted in its fair share of bickering, because they're clearly very different people with very different mindsets, which you can see is made evidently clear by the fact that they are indeed 2 different people. After Ben takes it upon himself to be the one to put the zombies down, as Mickey would much rather hide inside a car and not do that, it then cuts to Ben, completely naked and taking a wilderness shower, which I guess is just something that he's always wanted to do, considering that as well as an actor, he's also the writer and the director. And for this shot I'll be bollock naked, because I do what I want. Fair enough. But while he's gone, giving those cheeks a good rinse, Mickey's sleeping in the car as it's approached by a zombie. But after he notices and is about to call Ben for help over the radio, he notices that the zombie's breasts are squished up against the window, resulting in him wasting absolutely no time whatsoever, ripping off his trousers for an impromptu danger wank. But while partway through the least proud fap he's ever done, instead of him being the one to blow his load, Ben is the one who blows out the zombie's brains, before he then proceeds to brutally mock Mickey, because I guess he kind of is jerking it to a dead chick. After Mickey's riddled with post-nut clarity, we then see them both come across an empty house in the middle of the woods, where Ben finds himself a nice bow and arrow. A bow and arrow that I'm sure will come in handy at some point later, that absolutely won't be forgotten about and never addressed again. But this time, Mickey manages to convince Ben to allow them to spend the night here, as there isn't a single dog in sight. And later that evening, while yet again harassing some poor woman over the airwaves, Annie eventually responds to him. Without actually giving him any information on how to find her, she ends up asking him about his friend Ben, and we find out that they weren't even really friends before the outbreak began. The only reason that they ended up sniffing knickers and blowing brains out together is because they were on the same baseball team and away for a game when the whole thing began. And after hearing a nice heartfelt story from Mickey about how he's craving human interaction, she basically says, "lol bye," and then tells him to change the frequency. All the while, Ben is alone in the other room listening to Mickey's headphones, getting plastered and waving his gun around the place, as if he thinks it's some sort of magical wand. But as he's having the absolute time of his life, he's suddenly ripped away from it as he hears the sound of banging and moaning in the distance. And this time it's not Mickey. It then cuts to the next morning, and we see that Ben captured the zombie that was making the noise. Everyone say hi to Fred, he's new. Thinking that alarm clocks are overrated, Ben drags the zombie inside and throws him into the room with Mickey before holding the door shut. But don't worry, it's just a prank, bro. He's left his bat in there with Mickey and wants him to finally kill his first zombie, whether he likes it or not. That, or either the zombie kills him, which I'm sure the zombie will like a lot. And after a while of Mickey screaming and shouting as if he's just found a spider in his bedroom, Ben eventually opens the door to find him holding the bat while covered in blood, as apparently he gets up to some really weird stuff in his sleep. Rightfully so, he grabs Ben around the throat before punching him in the face, preceded by him then running off alone into the wilderness, almost naked while covered in blood. In other words, a really good time. Ben manages to catch up to him, and Mickey, while crying, lets him know that he got through to Annie last night, but that she wants nothing to do with him. After the apocalyptic version of getting swiped left, we then see a montage sequence that's meant to signify Mickey getting over it and moving on. A montage sequence that mainly consists of manly activities, like playing catch, going apple picking, and then playing catch with said apples. And after they're done eating their premature cider, they end up coming across a car parked like the average BMW driver, in the middle of the road. After trying to siphon fuel out of it, they realize that the engine is still hot, before Ben notices that a stranger has appeared and has a knife to Mickey's neck. In exchange for Mickey not receiving an extra breathing hole and a really cool scar, the man demands the gun and the keys to the car because someone is after him. Instead, Ben tells the man that the keys are in the car and that he's not going to give up his gun, instead he's going to put it down at the side of the road. And after the man eventually agrees, he then lets Mickey go and gets in the car, to then realize that Ben lied to him, as he does still have the keys. So thinking that he'd rather just do his journey on foot, wanting to get a head start, he gets out of the car and sprints into a field, while Ben thinks it's the perfect opportunity for some good old-fashioned target practice. And after the man falls to the ground, Ben walks up to him and finishes him off. But not in the fun way. They then notice a truck approaching them, and with Ben's stranger danger instincts kicking in, he pulls his gun out and aims it at them. But the only thing that those people have come for is the car, as the man who took it was a thief. A fact that Ben and Mickey had just learnt the hard way. Well, not as hard as he did. After making conversation for a while, Mickey comes to the realization that the woman he's talking to is Annie from the radio. But as soon as she realizes that he's recognized her, she pulls out her gun and shoots Ben in the leg, because screw that guy in particular. Not wanting them to follow her back, she throws their keys into the grass and tells them not to look for it until they've left. With Ben sporting an extra orifice and Mickey not being able to find the thrown keys, they decide to just call it a night and to sleep in the car. But as they're sleeping, in the middle of the night, they're awoken to the sound of a zombie horde, as apparently they're quite sneaky for a bunch of corpses. With no car keys and no meat or bone where it should be in Ben's leg, they're trapped. It then cuts to the next morning with them still in the car, as we see that the hours pass with the zombies gently caressing the windows, because I guess they wouldn't want to leave a scratch. And with no way out of this, all they can do is smoke cigarettes and presumably get really bad motion sickness from the constant shaking. We see that not only the hours pass, but the days pass as well, signified by their 2 large bottles of water slowly draining, with them eventually being forced to drain the brine from canned chicken and peas in order to have anything to drink at all. Just think of it as lukewarm soup. With no other options left, they decide to do what any pair of people desperately trying to survive would do. They get drunk and have fun. And with more time passing after a fun night of drinking, they're now trapped in a car surrounded by zombies, except hungover. Coming to the full conclusion that there's no way out of this, they come up with the plan of having Mickey climb out of the sunroof and making a mad dash for the keys. And with it being incredibly obvious that it's their only shot, he disappears out of the top. And after a long, anxious, some would even say boring wait, Mickey eventually returns. But he doesn't return with the keys, instead returning with a bite. So now, not only is Ben faced with the dangers outside of the car, but he's very quickly about to be faced with one inside of it. So aiming his gun at Mickey, screaming and shouting for him to please just get out of the car and go, Mickey's freaking out in an absolutely terrified and frantic state, thinking about the thought of what's going to happen to him. But amongst the panic of the shouting and screaming, Ben pulls the trigger and kills the only friend that he has left in this world. And just like it did before, more time passes, but this time with Ben alone with his new windshield decal. He begins talking over the radio to Annie, and with no response for her, explaining the story of them being trapped for 3 months. He says that in the end, after a long, arduous 3 months trapped in that house, they were eventually able to get to freedom by simply opening the front door. They opened one door, letting them all pile in one way, giving them the opportunity to quickly leave through another. So deciding to try it again for himself, one bite and a gunshot too late for Mickey, because I guess the pair of them just suffer with really convenient plot-induced amnesia, he tells Annie that if he survives, then he's going to kill her. And after we see Ben preparing, the movie then comes to an end, with Ben limping away from the horde of zombies, because I guess screw Mickey. That's what he gets for not understanding the basic concept of a door handle. And when it's all said and done, it's evident really that the battery certainly isn't going to satisfy everyone's taste, with the movie actually being far more of a drama than a movie about the zombie apocalypse itself. But what's commendable about it is that it was created with a budget of only $6,000 over a period of 15 days, with none of the scenes actually being planned in advance. But with that in mind, if you're interested in a movie that focuses far more on the psychological aspects of the end of the world, you could definitely do worse. But at the end of the day, what it really just boils down to is that it's just an excuse for Ben to get his knob out in front of everyone. So before this video comes to an end, I'd like to just give a massive shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons, the people who every month continue to support the channel, despite YouTube making it apparently obvious that they're not exactly fond of the type of content I make. And if you wanted to become a YouTube member or a patron, not only are you just supporting the channel, you also get access to a private Discord server, as well as access to uncensored versions of all videos going forwards. So starting off with the YouTube members, I want to thank this week's new signups. So a big thank you to Paul S, Henry Hicks Burdock, and Flamuel. And moving over to this week's Patreon signups, a big thank you to Secret Squirrel, Alpha, Buffy Nation, Manuel Ferragino, TK, Jamoro, Sergi Zed, and Jordan Graff. So once again, a big thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons, and a massive thank you to everyone else for watching.